my name's Sarah Fallat. I'm 20, oh my gosh, 28 years old. I live in Washington Township, and a little bit about me. So I've always had this personality trait that I've always been like super competitive in anything that
Mhm.
I've done. So whether it was sports or school, like I always had to be like the number one student, the number one on the team. Even if I wasn't, like that is what kind of got me up in the morning.
Sure.
So when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be a hairdresser. So I
Mhm.
was so excited. I went to cosmetology school while I went to high school, and it was great. I was super excited because out of high school, as soon as I graduated, I got my license, and I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And I just loved the salon experience, but I didn't have that great of a talent, I'll be honest. And I went to a couple different salons. I kind of bopped
Mhm.
around, and I wasn't a huge fan of the quote unquote like the salon drama. It was just
Mhm.
too much. I felt like it was catty, it was very political. And I
Mhm.
felt that in order for me to rise up the chain, I had to know the right people. And that was just a lot. But I
Mhm.
was really good at updos, but I was terrible at everything else. So I made a connection at the salon, and I was super excited. I was doing homecoming hair for my sister, um word got around, and one of the hairdressers there, she does her own on site bridal hair and makeup. So I went there. I started working for her like part time on the side,
Mhm.
and I was doing that for the past, shoot, right before the current business that I'm running now, for about
Mhm.
8 years. So ever since I was 18 up until like 3 years ago. So
Mhm.
I fell in love with it. If I could do updos all day, that was my happy place. But what I found was if I wanted to open my own business doing that I needed to be good
Mhm.
at makeup.
Mhm.
Well, I'm terrible at makeup, and it was just so much money, like $1,000 to get your kid, and it was just, I'm like, no, because I could come with bobby pins and hairspray and rock the
Mhm.
day, but with makeup, it's just a whole other game. So I just didn't. My heart wasn't in that. So I'm like, well,
Mhm.
this isn't going to be good for me. Well, kind of around that same time, my girlfriend was like, I love her now, but in the moment, I wasn't the greatest fan of this. But she's like, you're not that good at hair. I think you should go back to school for business. I was like, man, like in that moment, I was 19. I was thinking like now I have to start over,
Mhm.
and thinking I know I was only 19, but that's what it felt like, that I thought that if I
Yeah.
could be ahead in that. So I was like, so I went to school. I went sport worked part-time in a restaurant, and I ended up working in a bank, and I found out, I'm like, oh, I really like money. And I worked my way up to become the assistant manager. And it was a fork in the road. It was either I had
Mhm.
to do loans or I had to do investments. I'm sorry, yeah,
Okay.
loans or investments. And I was
Mhm.
like, well, I'll go the financial advisor route. And I I liked it, but it was all sales. It was every time
Mhm.
a client walked in, okay, do they have a checking account? Do they have a credit card? Do they have a mortgage? And I'm just like, it was too much pressure. I didn't like it.
Mhm.
Over time, my girlfriend referred me to corporate finance. She's like, I think you should start as a co-op, or another word for intern, while you're in school.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay. So I left the bank, and I'll never forget my last day at the bank. I was 21 years old.
Mhm.
21, and the guy was our branch manager. He was so mad. I'll never forget, he walked out in the middle of the lobby and was like, you will not make that much more money in that corporate than you do here,
Mhm.
making me feel so bad about myself. And I thought, crap, like, I'm glad I'm leaving,
Yeah.
because screw you. So that
Mhm.
kind of got me fired up. So then it was funny because I still banked there. So they saw like the direct deposits come in, and
Mhm.
they knew, okay, that I was going someplace, because there's going to be people around you that
Mhm.
are either intimidated by you, but always
Mhm.
stay true to you and where you're going. So then
Mhm.
I worked in corporate finance. I worked my way up from, worked as like a co-op, which is another word for intern, and
Mhm.
got my full-time first salary position. I was so excited. And then and then I kind of worked my way up the chain.
Mhm.
And I found the higher up you go, especially as a female being young, that
Mhm.
it is a hard world out there. I worked in a man's world in the automotive as a female, and I
Mhm.
was telling older men how to manage their money when they've been running that department for 15 to 20 years, and they didn't like that.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of obstacles.
Mhm.
So then I ended up moving to like a small family owned organization. And oh my gosh, there was so much, what's that word? Where everyone knows each other and everyone gets hired.
Mhm. Sure. It's like a
Um,
small world.
yeah, small world, nepotism.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
So much was that going on, and I was so excited. I finally got the position that I was working towards. I was a financial controller at the age of
Mhm.
25. I was like, I've made it. I worked my way up. I got the interview. But what the crazy part was is, looking back was I I went through a different interview process than the rest of the applicants for the position. I had
Mhm.
to take an accounting exam to prove my worth. And which I thought that was really odd because the one of the consultants that was had a handle in the hiring, she
Mhm.
was intimidated because I knew more than her, and she's been doing the role for 30 years, but I didn't come
Mhm.
across that I knew everything.
Sure.
So she's definitely intimidated, and so to prove it, HR made her take an accounting exam and she failed it and I passed it. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
That moment.
Yeah, I bet.
I only worked there for a couple months, but over time, I just felt that the higher you go at the top in corporate, when it's not a
Mhm.
business that you physically own, it's just that
Mhm.
there's more scrutiny, there's more demands, there's more hours, and the pay isn't that much more.
Yeah.
CEOs make what 200 to 400,000. That's not a lot of money when you don't own it. You
Yeah.
still CEOs still are working all the time, and I literally was at the hand and foot of them, and I've helped expose some nasties in the organization, but yet I was still the one that, because I was very true to my integrity and my character, people
Mhm.
didn't like that because as soon as it didn't go their way, I was the enemy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, and it was actually an encounter with my boss. He wasn't treating me well, and HR saw it. She was in a meeting with me and he treated me like complete crap, and I ended up crying, and I thought, man, is this really what it's like? I've worked my butt off. I went to school, I got my master's in finance. I did the things. I got the license when I was young, and I'm like thinking, is this really what it's like? And then I got this opportunity. Somebody knocked on my door. My fiance's mom came over. She's like, I just want to show you what it is I'm doing. She was starting her own business
Mhm.
in the financial field. And I thought,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I love finance. But the crazy part was is everything that I've learned in my past,
Mhm.
I had no idea. What I learned in school did not prepare me for this new opportunity.
Mhm.
I thought like almost hit in the face. Like I paid all this money in student loans and I felt like another setback. But I knew in my heart that this was where I was like meant to be. I
Yeah.
knew that this, like there's something about this opportunity where I could be my own boss. I
Mhm.
could lead an organization. There's a biggest difference between being a leader and a boss, and I could do it the right way. And I could
Mhm.
change people's lives, and people aren't, and no one's going to tell me no. No one's going to tell me I can't be moved up because I'm a female or I'm
Sure.
young. And that was super, it was incredible. And then through
Mhm.
that kind of transition, I realized sometimes I realized the reality I was living. I was
Mhm.
living in hell, and I thought it was a dream. And
Mhm.
when I was kind of exposed to kind of what it should be like, my
Mhm.
mind was blown. Like, we can dream again, we can have
Mhm.
ownership, I can have my own schedule. I never have to tell someone I need to use the bathroom. It was just it was like, I found it. So that's kind of a little bit about me and kind of like
Yeah.
career history. I feel like I felt like in those moments that I thought that I knew what I was doing, but what I realize
Sure.
now is it was just leading me to where I'm meant to be now,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't have been able to deal with conflict, but didn't go through
Mhm.
my previous jobs. I wouldn't have been able to deal with tough conversations, or it really molded me, and
Yeah.
I needed to go through those experiences to get to where I am today, but I didn't know it in that moment.
Yeah.
So Um,
Definitely, like, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and even in the moment where it feels like you're at the worst and it hurts, but if you keep on going, you can realize, wow, it was really hard at the time, but I can't imagine how I can survive right now had I not gone through that. So yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
100%. And then
Mhm.
I think I answered your first one. What was your second question?
Just is there any advice that you would have loved to hear as a 17-year-old looking back? Not that again you would want to change anything that we've gone through because everything I believe personally that everything happens for a reason, but sometimes I'm like, dang, I really wish someone had told me this or someone had given me just a little words of encouragement that could have kept
Ooh,
me going.
you're gonna make me cry. Okay, yeah. I have the perfect words.
Okay.
Stay true to you.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not gonna cry because I'm being recorded. But okay, so the biggest advice that I gave is like I always felt like I was different. I
Sure.
was different than the average person my age. I thought differently, and sometimes you feel like you don't fit in. I'm not sure
Mhm.
if that's like a common thing, but if I could tell my 17-year-old self advice is stay true to who you are, and you God gave you the dream. God gave you the passion. You need to be you and be
Sure.
truly you, and don't try to be anybody else but you. I always try to like fit in or
Mhm.
like mold myself in certain like chapters I was in to be what either it was like well liked or to fit in,
Mhm.
but I don't what I could tell myself is the cool kids are different. The
Mhm.
the not cool kids are all the same.
Yeah.
And follow who you are and don't be scared to be who you are.
Sure.
Don't be scared to be you because there's no one else like you.
Mhm.
That's what I would tell myself is like, no more people pleasing, girl. Don't fit
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And first off, love you for you because I had
Mhm.
such bad self-image.
Mhm.
And it was a reflection of my confidence in what I was doing at work.
Mhm.
And I never really learned how to love myself. And I know it sounds cliche,
Mhm.
but oh my gosh, girl, you are beautiful, you are pure, and go change the world.
Mhm.
That's what I would tell myself.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Thank you. Because I
You're
definitely
welcome.
feel like 17-year-olds nowadays, people that I've associated with, or not just me, but I've seen a lot of people, they have low self esteem. They're not really sure what they want to do. And then I know I want to do stuff a lot differently for my friends. So I can definitely feel like sometimes when they talk to me and I can't relate, I feel a bit left out. So I think that's really important is staying true to yourself and knowing that you have the power to do whatever you want and it doesn't matter, you don't need approval from some your neighbor or just someone who is definitely not where you want to be in life. So I think that's really important. I think it's not just that it's cliche, I think it's something that everyone needs to be reminded of, at any age, any time in their life. So I think that's really important. So thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah,
Is
you're
there
welcome.
anything like you'd like to throw out last minute before we wrap up? Anything that you'd like to say to maybe other kids out there who might feel a little bit different, might not want to go down the traditional college path, but maybe want to do something with their lives?
Yeah, so you guys, the traditional path,
Mm-hmm.
it's not for everybody. And let me tell
Sure,
you, just because it's what we're told to do, it doesn't mean it's what's right.
sure.
And I followed that advice. I followed the advice of my parents of go to school, get a job. And, for those of you that feel that you're not meant to do that, you need to follow
Mm-hmm.
your heart and where you're meant to be. And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get criticism on any journey of impact. There's going to be criticism in the bleachers. That's normal. People are going to talk anyway, so might as well make them have talk about something great of what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess
Yeah.
what? People are going to come from miles to watch you burn and be on fire. But guess
Mm-hmm.
what? You're going to be on fire with passion of what you want to do in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
you got to follow that because it the I know it feels like the whole world is in that 17-year-old in that summer, that 18, I'm turning 18, and who am
Mm-hmm.
I dating? Who do I like? Who's my friends? And what's the social status? But guess what? That gets that I don't even remember that anymore because I
Mm-hmm.
remember who I was and how people made me feel.
Yeah.
And always be true to you and what you want. And the world's full of Karens. Let them be Karens, but you got to be you.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate that and everything that you shared and told me today. That's really powerful stuff. I can definitely see how it'll help me in my journey. So I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing a lot of great information.
You're welcome, girl. I'm gonna give you a big hug when I see you next. Okay.
I definitely will. I'll be waiting.
Okay. Awesome. Well, this was awesome. Thank you. If you need anything else, let me know.
Of course I will. Thank you.
Oh, bye.
Bye. Have a nice day.
You too.